Hello there, everyone on YouTube. As promised, this video is my reaction to Calpurnpiso. And so, when I made the last one, the reaction to spirit science, I said that the next one would be a Calpurnpiso video. I did not at that point have any specific Calpurnpiso video planned. However, just a few hours ago, he released a new one, and as soon as I saw it, I just knew I had to do this. So, I have for myself here milk and cookies to make it easier for me. Um, to tolerate this. And so, see? Screen share. Make this the big player. Yeah, it's working. And I'll let it settle back on this. And I've not seen this before at all.
Hi friends, this is Calpurnpiso.
Yes, unfortunately it is.
My brain is creating thoughts. I am going to talk today about, like I've been talking about for decades now, about the greatest danger that we face, humanity. In fact, we are evolved, mutated primates, product of conscious evolution that emerge from our mother's cave with a blank brain.
That's... Okay, hold on, there's something. What the fuck? Okay, my computer was glitching out there, and it was actually scaring me quite a bit. Okay, anyways, no, well, depending on how, that depends on how you define a blank brain. I mean, your odds of a lot of things are determined to an extent by genetics. Environment affects it as well, but genetics affect it as well. Generally, from what I understand, your potential is decided by your genetics. Your environment decides what of the potential scenarios outlined in your genetics actually happen. So you're not a completely blank slate. You're more like a series of unmade choices that act like branching paths.
In other words, no information, no info viva.
Right, which is why, if you're about to make this argument, we don't trust babies to dictate our beliefs on any issue at all whatsoever, including religion, which is why it's asinine to argue that all babies are atheists, so you should be an atheist.
No belief in info viva.
Or if you're not saying that, which I don't know if you are, you might not be, why it's asinine to even argue about the issue, because why should we care what babies believe? Like, I get it if it's like if you're using it as a counter to the idea that we have an intrinsic belief in God. Even then, it's a failed argument, because it's like arguing that because babies are very selfish, humans aren't naturally altruistic animals. It's stupid, but it's, I mean,
Imaginary friends or those irrational beliefs
You know what? That actually, you could debate that because I mean, babies theoretically believe that something. I mean, it might be. We don't know if babies, or at least I don't know if babies believe that good things will happen if they suck on their mother's teat. If so, then that belief is irrational because they're basing it on pure instinct, which is not obviously not to be considered a trustworthy source of information in other circumstances.
Using our book play, our sensory gating, the five senses, obtain information during the imprinting period, and we begin feeding the brain with information, lasting average 75, 80 years, 90 years of existence. The brain, which is matter composed of molecules, atoms, creates thought, creates the mind. And when the brain is sick or malfunctioning, does not produce rational thought.
Okay, hold on. Let me check. You have to go back because, and this isn't Calpurnpiso's fault. It's because of his nationality, but that doesn't change the fact that his accent makes it nearly impossible to understand a word he fucking says.
And when the brain is sick or malfunctioning, does not produce rational thought.
So, if someone has a single mental illness, they cannot ever have any rational thought of any kind. I know that's not what you meant, but that is what you just said. So you need to choose your words more carefully.
In other words, a defective, malfunctioning brains produce malfunctioning delusions, illusions, accepting them as reality.
Sometimes they do. Actually, I want to elaborate on this, so hold on. I'm going to turn off the screen share. Not every mental disorder causes you to have delusional beliefs. A great many of them don't. For example, clinical depression doesn't necessarily cause delusional beliefs. Obsessive compulsive, or here's an example, a pretty radical example. I actually, and this is not something very many people know, I actually experience extremely non-vivid hallucinations in my everyday life. And I'm not going to go into detail, but basically, imagine say, a lamp or an object next to you. I do that I do that despite not wanting to. And I have at no point in my life actually thought the things I hallucinate were real. But, there's no delusional here, but it is a result of a mental disorder. It's a result of my obsessive-compulsive disorder. And I take medication for it, as it happens. So, yeah, it's just... Calpurnpiso's an idiot.
In other words, it's like believing that 2 plus 2 equals any number the brain, the infected brain, believes it is.
Okay, that was barely a sentence. However, to rebut what I think you meant there, just because something is wrong doesn't mean it's obviously wrong. Now, granted, generally, a delusional, in order for a belief to be considered a delusion, it has to be, among other things, very unlikely. And the reason for that is because if a belief is reasonable, then there are a lot better explanations than a mental disorder for why it's being held by a person. And a delusion is generally, the way it's defined is it's a symptom of a mental disorder. That's why they have the word delusion for when false beliefs are brought about as a symptom of mental illness. That may not, I don't know that the definition of a delusion is a false belief brought about by a mental illness, but that's another issue. The point is that's what it's used, that's like, the definition is designed to designed such basically to make delusions a symptom that you put on symptom lists for mental illnesses. And so, what the fuck? Actually, in that rant, I forgot what he even said, so hold on.
Any number the brain, the infected brain, believes it is.
Okay, so 2 plus 2 equals 5 would, or could possibly be a delusion if a person believed it to be true. It could also possibly be a result of poor mathematical education, or of the person being extremely young. However, you are almost certainly going to go on to argue that religion is the same way, and I'm sorry, but things like the existence of God are not trivially false in the same way that 2 plus 2 equals 5 is. And even if they are, the cultural influence cancels that out, such that no mental illness is required to hold such beliefs.
Except for the truth, which is 4.
Also known as the number of brain cells you have.
And all religions in the planet, which I believe religions to be a psychosis, faith, they are based on hypoviva, imaginary friends or foes, irrational belief, acceptance.
Okay, let's see. First off, not every okay, here, hold on me. 1, not every religion includes a god. Not every religion includes what you're calling an imaginary friend. For example, so it's something like the World Church of Humanity or something like that. There's a religion that it's a religion in itself, or the World Church of the Creator. That's it. And by the Creator, they don't mean God, they mean the Earth. And they believe, their religion is that they're racists. And while that is an irrational belief, it's not an irrational belief in a God. Some Buddhists are atheists, some aren't. Some, I've heard that there are other religions that work that way, but, so yeah, not every religion involves belief in God. Now, I'll grant you that every religion that I know of involves irrational beliefs, though conceivably you could create a religion that didn't, because you can take absolutely any set of ideas. If you have a belief system, if you hold any set of ideas to be true, you can call it a religion, and by definition, it becomes one. And so you can have a rational religion, because you could have the religion of gravity exists. You could have the religion of 2 plus 2 equals 4. Now, that no one's done that, and no one probably ever will, except explicitly to make a point, but you could. You could have the religion of science is awesome. You could have the religion of the universe is awesome. That's actually a somewhat more plausible one. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that something like it exists. Some sort of, well, a religious practice whose spirituality is sort of a Carl Saganistic pseudo-pantheism.
exactly the same like neurological disorders, like many schizophrenias, temporal lobe epilepsy. Just think.
I'm gonna check that. Hold on. Because I'm reasonably sure that oh, and that site was informative, just so this is fair use. Um, so is this one, presumably. It's probably worthy of being donated to or something like that. But yeah, I'm reasonably sure epilepsy is about seizures. I'm looking it up because it's possible that I'm wrong. Temporal lobe. All right, so from superficial research, no, I'm not seeing anything to indicate that temporal lobe epilepsy can cause delusional beliefs. It could be that the less than 120 seconds I just spent failed to pick up something that actually exists, but citation needed because epilepsy equals seizures.
And chemical imbalance affected brain. The brain, the person that takes a lot of drugs, it also produces IFO-VIVA. And it's amazing that people keep calling, referring to God, to a creator, to God. And that's wrong, because there are 8,000 languages spoken in the planet, which creates many, many concepts.
So, like, is that supposed to be an argument against the existence of God? Because it was framed like it was supposed to be.
God is a word in English.
Yes, and there are other words in other languages that have essentially the same meaning.
But what is God?
A lot of people have a lot of different definitions, and there's nothing wrong with that. The fact that a lot, like, just the fact that a lot of people use the word energy to mean a lot of different things, many of which are woo-woo bullshit, doesn't mean that energy, the scientific phenomenon, is a lie.
And even atheist intellectuals are unable to, they don't think about it. They don't realize the obvious, that they are creating thoughts with the brain.
No, even a lot of theists realize that, at least partially, and plenty of religious people, such as the people, I presume the people of the World Church of the Creator, believe in that. Um, Pretty much any neuroscientist does. Even if you believe in a soul, you can accommodate that statement that we create thoughts with the brain as being at least partially true. They would typically argue, they would say something like, the, the soul, the mind uses, or the soul uses the brain as a tool to think, which is at least part of the way there. So, yeah.
And believe in God's Ipoviva is a sign of a malfunctioning brain.
Why?
Religion is in itself, since it's filled with Ipoviva, just like a schizophrenia, a neurological disorder, just like a schizophrenia, temporal epilepsy, imbalance in the brain.
So people who believe in things that don't exist all have to have mental illnesses. So, all right, so here's a few ideas there. Let's see. Let's try to think of a good example. Okay, so people who believed, I don't know, people who believed in the luminiferous ether before it was shown not to exist, they must have all had a mental disorder. Or does that not count because the luminiferous ether isn't a friend? All right, so if I make a fake Facebook account of a person representing a person that doesn't exist, and befriend you through that Facebook account, and convince you that I'm a real person, you must have a mental disorder because I just convinced you to believe in an imaginary friend.
Of the neural brain. Sensory gauging deficits, a malfunctioning pulvinar, a disconnect, cognitive dissonance. This is what happens. Religion is a mental illness, it's a disorder. And
No.
this disorder spread in churches.
Which is weird because mental disorders usually don't spread like that. Like, granted, there are a few mental disorders that can be brought on via by external circumstances, such as post-traumatic stress disorder, but none of them are contagious in the same way ideologies are. Unless you want to define mental disorder as any state of consciousness that you dislike.
All places of worship have this crazy hypoviva, this schizophrenia, this cancer of the brain, this HIV of the brain that destroys the immune system of the brain
No, what?
to rational thought and to logic.
That was not a sentence.
There is no logic in religious psychosis. There is no logic in a schizophrenia or the neurological disorder.
That is not necessarily true. Many religions have internal logic to them. Like, some religious dogmas are born of people thinking about the logical implications of other religious dogmas. Some religious concepts are the result of people thinking about the logical implications of some religious concepts and some scientific ideas. So ideas like Spaceship Earth, for example, are the result of a combination of it's a theological interpretation of a scientific idea.
Above you already have takes the logic of what you will see. Your brain has a disconnect, a malfunction. So it is extremely dangerous to have these lunatics in controlled countries. They've been doing that for over 2,000 years.
And the world hasn't been destroyed yet. Hold on, I'm going to take a sip of milk then. I want you to think about this, Calpurnpiso. I want you to think about this. For thousands of years, religious people have controlled everything. And do you know what hasn't happened? No one has ever just suddenly snapped and went, "Gosh darn it, Jesus told me to fire off the nuclear missile." Boom! That has never happened. Sure, there have been religiously motivated conflicts. Very rarely is a conflict motivated solely by religion, even when the people participating in it claim that that's their sole or primary motivation. But it's what has never happened is what you're insinuating. This sort of thing where, like, just someday all of the big fat religious psychotics in government are just going to decide to fire off that nuclear missile because I heard a voice in my head telling me to. I'm sorry, no. Even the ones who would claim that if God told them to fire off a nuclear missile, they would do it, would still probably not fire off a nuclear missile if they heard a voice in their head claiming to be God and telling them to do it. Both because they might suspect that the voice wasn't really God, and because they might not seriously be willing to fire off a nuclear missile because God told them to.
To religious psychosis that happened thousand years ago, the beginning of it, science was dropped.
No, science didn't exist yet.
Science never triumphed. It always the crazy, believing in a viva kings and prophets and deluded folks ingesting infusions were at the control of countries. And it's amazing. But it's been happening all the time. And it's happening today. Thanks to the advent of Christ psychosis in the 4th century.
No, it was the 1st century, you fucking dumbass.
Christianity is the belief of a zombie that resurrects and simply blood for sin.
Only by a very loose definition of zombie.
And the advent of that, all the science was dropped in the Roman Empire.
No, it fucking wasn't. That is a bold-faced lie. Even if it may well be a bold-faced lie someone else told you, or maybe it's something that they just thought of and thought, given that I already believe that Christianity is anti-science, it must be that it, stopped all science as soon as it was invented. So I'm going to decide that that's true, and proclaim it publicly.
And this Christianity was born. It's a disgusting disease, and it's spreading in churches. It's been spreading for like 1700 years. And it continues. And it spreads like an octopus.
What? What? Like an octopus?
You know, the cancer.
Octopus. Octopus. Octopus.
In all the many Abrahamic religions, all come from the Roman Empire. Many. And it is a...
I think there have been about 4 Abrahamic religions ever.
It's an infection of the brain. It's accepting irrational beliefs to be true. And that destroys science. And it
demonstrably false, given that science exists today and most people are religious.
And it gets people reproduce and they go into technology in control countries are lunatics, are people that believe in resurrecting zombies, in
and yet, see my previous comments.
Resurrecting prophets and crap like that, like multi-Christian, the Western civilization in Christianity. Then you have the Crusades and you have all this crazy thinking. And they try to destroy science, the imbeciles of...
So all religious people tried to destroy science. This presumably includes all of the religious scientists. This presumably includes Kenneth Miller, who testified in Kitzmiller versus Dover against bringing Dover and helped get the ban placed on intelligent design in schools. Um, this presumably includes a lot of people who clearly aren't anti-science. You fucking...
They completely turn down science, Darwinism, evolution. They don't see reality. They don't realize that the only true creator is the genius of their gods.
Yeah, I'm just going to put the camera on my face because I think this is a reaction video. That's what you're here to see. So to simulate my reaction to that last clip.
Spit semen, DNA, into the mother's cave, creating the brain, creating existence, knowledge, self-awareness. And we are really having problems. And the thing is that by trampling down science and building churches all the time, you're...
Okay, I'm not aware of the epidemic of church building.
Infect the brain of children for hundreds of years. And then you have senators and imbeciles in the Supreme Court, and even philosophic imbeciles, Christ-according infected presidents like Bush, morons like that.
Or Obama, who you presumably like, despite the fact that he's religious. Well, no, you probably don't like him, but you presumably like his policies, and he is unambiguously religious. I mean, unless you want to assume that he's lying.
You have leaders like Adolf Hitler, a Christian.
Yes, Adolf Hitler. Okay, let me explain something that that should be obvious to everyone, but that apparently isn't. The ideology responsible for the creation of Nazi Germany and for their horrible policies was, shockingly, not Christianity, but Nazism. That's kind of why it's called Nazism. Or actually, that's why it's called Nazi Germany. Because it was the product of Nazism, which is not a sect or form of Christianity or necessarily Christian. A lot of the people who came up with it were Christians, but you can very easily be a Nazi without being a Christian. The two don't go hand in hand.
Just ruining the planet and trapping science. If you want to see reality, watch Cosmos. Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson is...
He should sue you for pretending that he has somehow influenced you to come to the idiotic beliefs that you hold.
Brilliant. But they don't realize that the main disorder you can find, the main score is the brain. Because the brain, when a leader is infected with a... Look at Hitler. Christ psychotic.
Yes, and Nazi.
And imbalance of the brain, he ended up killing 6 million Jews.
Okay, it's not been established that Hitler had any kind of mental disorder. That may well be something that's very difficult or impossible to determine because he's kind of dead, and as far as I know, no one ever examined him, so you can't come to very good conclusions about someone you've never even spoken to if you're a psychologist trying to diagnose them. Anyways.
Look at the Crusades, these crazy people.
Okay. My knowledge on those is actually limited, so I'm not going to bother disputing that they were religiously motivated. I know that's not necessarily the case. But it might be.
For 250 years committing genocide, killing all Muslims, and all the Muslims are calling the Jews are calling anybody that they agree with this Christian crap. So Christianity is the most dangerous neurological disorder.
Okay, do you know what? No, I'm not going to let that slide. Sure, medieval Christendom was assholish in many ways, but they did not just go around killing fucking everyone who religiously dissented from them. They sent missionaries to plenty of places. They were fucking protesting granted, not at, like, the Catholic Church, 60 years after the discovery of the American continent, um, 60 years, basically made a notice forbidding the enslavement of Native Americans. They were decrying African slavery as it happens. Granted, not for any of what we, granted, not for the right reasons. They were anti that slavery and those slave trades long before they were anti-slavery as a whole. But it's still, they didn't just kill everyone who disagreed with, oh, here, another example, slaves. They enslaved a load of people who disagreed with them, which isn't good either, but it isn't killing, which is what you just said. They also had missionaries that they sent to people, and fuck you, you fucking...
HIV of the brain, and it's in the brain.
AIDS sufferers should sue you for implying that you derive your idiotic ideas from them.
And the brain is the one that controls it. The nuclear button.
One moment. Like I said earlier, we are yet to have the hee-haw Jesus told me to nuclear war.
They deny climate change, the imbeciles like Senator Inhofe and all these morons that we love.
Yes, some of them do. Not necessarily just for religious reasons.
And the Christians in a mental institution. In the Supreme Court, imbeciles like Scalia and the morons that believe in demons and hypothesis. And atheists say nothing. They don't protest in the churches that they corrupt and rape the brain of children with all these imbecilities create.
Are you blind and retarded? Calm down. You fucking imbecile! You fucking really believe that that atheists don't protest religion? You believe that atheists don't protest church and religion? seen any of the atheist YouTubers here? Have you seen I mean, granted, I don't know of any instance where a literal, like, where someone literally picketed, where a group of atheists literally picketed a church, but atheists and anti-theists are speaking out against religion everywhere all the fucking time! You moron! You... Ah. That is the new stupidest thing I've ever heard. That, congratulations, Mindswinger, guy on the Chimpmania forums who said that starving people in Africa were just lazy and wanted white charity to mooch off a bit. Congratulations, you are off the hook. Calpurnpiso just fucking topped you. The most idiotic thing anyone has ever said. Just, oh my god, and we're not even halfway through this thing. Oh, this video is going to be the death of me.
Senators, imbecile Christians like we have today. Because they go to church like that when they're young. They're believing all that crap that they accept as reality. And then you have homophobia, racism, pedophilia, and the rest of it.
Pedophilia is a result of religion because, as we all know, if a bunch of Catholic priests do something, that means that Catholicism caused it. And actually, that would prove that Catholicism is the best thing ever. Because, in fact, that might make me convert back to Catholicism. Because after all, did you know that every single Catholic priest in the entire world breathes? Therefore, breathing is a symptom of Roman Catholicism, and so if it weren't for Roman Catholicism, none of us would breathe and we would all die.
KKK and all this crap like that, and that's what you get. Thanks to this Christian disease, the cancer of the brain, the HIV of the brain that nobody sees. That is the problem. And thanks to that, they don't give a shit about dumping all these plastics and reproduce and having more babies and more people, more polluting the planet.
Okay, pollution is bad, but it's fueled by corporate interests. People use religious arguments to rationalize it, but that's not why they're doing it. And that's not their only excuse.
And they deny this climate change crap. They believe in Armageddon and all that crap. And this is the problem. This Christ-supposed infected imbeciles with churches spraying the cancer all over. And American atheists don't see it. It's about time to wake up. Anyway, here are some clips.
Okay, hold on. Screen share. I just can't believe Calpurnpiso actually said... I kind of just want to watch this recursion. Because it's going to be significantly less agony-inducing than whatever Calpurnpiso is about to play.
It's very dangerous. And now Obama, our wonderful president, POTUS, Obama, which is a mentally ill, is an atheist.
No, he fucking isn't! I mean, unless you want to say that he's lying when he claims constantly to be a Christian. Hold on. I'm just gonna...
You've seen this before. This was this afternoon in New Mexico. President Obama back.
Okay, you probably won't be able to do that because it's... But, yeah, he's not a fucking atheist. You...
He introduced Cosmos. Gotta tell you something. The man is a magna cum laude. Brilliant man. We're very, very lucky to have him. And
Christian...
he has said we have to do something about global warming. It's caused by humans and all that. I mean, it's going to be a little bit too late now. We are in for a big, rough ride, my friends. Big. You'll realize what Christianity is, a disgusting disease. Anti-science.
No, political conservatism is. Like, if the if the fiscal conservatism weren't there, Christianity would be doing absolutely nothing to hinder environmentalism. It's a post hoc excuse some people use, but it's not the motivation.
Pieces of shit that because they should be treated for the disease they have. Let scientists like Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson and others to run countries, to be in control of countries. Get rid of the imbecile senators that are not an atom on the ground.
Because apparently, if you hold beliefs that Calpurnpiso doesn't like, you should be ineligible to hold public office because obviously not agreeing with him means that you're incapable of coming to rational beliefs about reality. And if you're wrong about one thing, then you're one day going to snap and go, "Ah, Jesus told me to crush the nuclear weapon button and be all nuclear war starting and ha ha."
Imbeciles, Christians. If you want to go, governors of the country should be all atheists, sane people, sane atheists, intellectuals.
Because fuck freedom, am I right? Fuck the idea that fuck freedom of belief. Everyone who is in public office should have to agree with me.
They should be the one in control of the country, control of government, control of institutions, and in control of the pressing of educational institutions. Get rid of this imbecile, Christian imbeciles back in the 12th century. Otherwise, we're doomed. You'll see, it's not going to be pretty. And believe my words. Keep this video.
You know what? Global warming is going to make everything worse, but it is probably not going to wipe humanity out. And eventually, we're going to technologically overcome its effects, and it's going to be a dip, but the general trend of human quality of life is going upwards right now, and in general will always be going upwards when looked at large enough scales. I guarantee you, by 2400 or so, no one will care about all of the damage we did to the environment because it'll have been fixed by then. And yes, that's a while in the future, and that's not a reason not to do anything about it, but it is a reason not to panic about how, oh my gosh, everything is going to be destroyed. No, things are going to get worse, and then they're going to get better again. And it would be better if they didn't have to get worse first, but they're still going to get better.
It's going to be prophetic.
I think they'll have the ability over time because the climate is changing.
The guy is a Christian piece of shit.
No, actually,
they have churches with all this garbage, creationism crap.
Talking about,
Not all churches teach creationism.
Infecting the mind of children with this garbage.
They want you to believe that it's
This is piece of shit woman. There's another idiot.
It's not that the world
Bill is blind.
something the world didn't have more carbon dioxide. It's the rate at which it's changing.
That's why
Keep up.
Christian churches all over the place with the garbage.
Stay here. We want America's national security. You can tweet yes or no using the hashtag crossfire.
Can I give you those results?
It's a threat to the whole humanity, our species. That's what it is.
No, it's not. Not an existential threat. Climate. I'm pretty sure that no scientist thinks that climate change, at least in the short term, is an existential threat to the human species. And it doesn't matter if it's an existential threat to the human species in the long term, because by the time several major cities are underwater, no one's going to be denying climate change anymore, and pretty much everyone's going to be united in trying to fix it. Or at least enough people that it's going to get done. Like I said, things are going to get worse, but then they're going to start getting better again.
Yeah, and you churches, garbage, assholes, are against science, against everything, keeping the people still-hearted, keeping children stupid.
I mean, we have to get to work on this problem as soon as we can, if you're asking me.
Yeah, in United Churches.
To have churches, businesses come up with new energy solutions. We want to invest in science, basic research, but
get rid of the churches.
As we
Okay, so according to hold on. According to Calpurnpiso, I just want to make sure this is on record so everyone knows about it. According to Calpurnpiso, the solution to climate change is to ban all churches from existing, because fuck freedom and the freedom of people to do what they want, so long as it's not, causing direct harm to other people. I mean, of course, then he's going to say climate change does hurt, people. Look. Yes, climate change does hurt people, but that doesn't mean you get to stop climate change denial from circulating. And that doesn't mean you get to decide that people who hold beliefs that you don't like, even if you have good reasons for not liking them, don't get to hold public office or have the same rights that you do.
today, where we're disagreeing about the facts, but to us, on my side, the science, it's really difficult to establish reasonable policy.
And I'm all for the basic research and pulling new energy economies out, so long as they can be funded through basically each other. We need to have the conversation about the climate realities.
Okay, look, well, thank you for talking with each other today, and I want to thank you for being here. The debate is going to continue
Let us hear it.
at CNN.com.
The problem is churches.
No, it isn't. Piso, the problem is corporate interest. Corporations want to keep doing the things that are causing climate change. And so they have climate change deniers, because unfortunately for fiscal conservatives, it's impossible to stop climate change without regulating the actions of private businesses. And fiscal conservatives, libertarians, don't like that, so they often deny climate change.
In that was still-started 12th century nonsense, raping the minds of children with the garbage, eliminate.
People who have actually been, stalked, or who have actually experienced things that could reasonably be referred to as mental rape, have the right to be extremely offended by your saying that being raised to be religious is comparable to their experience. How dare you?
Churches, they don't pay taxes, and then we can have science to flourish.
President Obama and all world leaders to know what they are suffering in Borno State in Sheba. He said they
adopted
of terror.
Islam psychosis.
When they leave their homes, they
Islam psychosis.
Because
Allah told this
there was
piece of shit,
that
imbecile criminal to sell the girls. Religious and mental illness, the worst of all kinds.
Okay. Islam forbids the taking of slaves except in the context of war. It may be that one instance is an instance of prisoners of war, but Calpurnpiso is certainly dumb enough to get that wrong, so unless there's proof of that, I'm just going to assume that he didn't know that, or at least consider that to be as much of a possibility.
The United States
the problem is
with it. They know millions of churches creating this stupid garbage, and that's just Theodore believes raping the mind of children.
Speechless, and I think shut people.
That's religious psychosis for you. Atheists, ignorant, clueless.
Thank you very much.
Wake up, like Bill Nye. He's clueless.
Who has two.
Religious beliefs are mental illness.
We hear that story, how they travel a day just to have the chance to talk to you for the
Nobody sees
their
it.
story. It may surprise you that President Obama has remained silent on the kidnappings for 3 weeks, despite.
Obviously, what's happening is awful. And as a father of two girls, I can't imagine what the parents are going through. But this organization, Boko Haram, has been one of the worst regional or local terrorist organizations in the world.
It's not psychotic.
Okay. Okay, he used the word cell there, so I assumed he was talking about human trafficking. That's why I mentioned slavery earlier. Okay, so if this is an Islamic terrorist cell, then it's motivated at least partially politically, I would imagine, because, you know, because, like, for example, a lot of people have this misconception that 9/11 was religiously motivated because the last words of the hijackers were, God is great in Arabic. What they seem to not realize is that Arabic people, or not Arabic people, but a lot of people in Arabia, in that part of the world, kind of hate America because America's foreign policy is constantly negatively affecting them.
With Nigeria on dealing with.
They're all infected.
And we're going to do everything we can.
Christianity is a mental illness.
In recovering.
Same shit. A different name. Here is brilliant Dr. Neil deGrasse.
Human primate never saw that inner HIV neural meteorite of zombie god belief Christ psychosis coming. It'd render our species extinct. It spread in churches. Their excuse is faith in God, aka Ipophiba, imaginary friend or foe belief accepts. Oh, you're I actually thought he was speaking like a foreign language thing when he was saying Ipophiba earlier, but now that I see that that's an acronym, that that is the third funniest thing I have ever seen out of Calpurnpiso. Number 2 is the toilet paper roll eyes, and number 1 is the dildo pointer. But that's number 3. Ipophiba. I love it. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use that as a running joke with my friends from now on. Because you can't make that shit up. Like, that sounds like a parody. That sounds like something that someone making fun of anti-theists would come up with to parody anti-theists. Oh, good God. Still have 5 minutes left, or 4.5 minutes left.
Tyson, with facts presenting Cosmos. He continues with Carl Sagan began. But we must crush people infected with this zombie God belief, with Ipophiba, believing God, as really people with the schizophrenia, with mental disorders, because all religious people suffer from this disorder that accept imaginary friends as true. And this is a fact. Here I am at Meteor Crater, Arizona. The excuse is faith. Faith in FOFIBA. In other words, God, imaginary friends of full irrational belief acceptance.
Hold on. I'm gotta. That is just fucking funny.
This is Meteor Crater. I am here in Meteor Crater. We could become extinct by the cancer, the HIV of the brain, hypophoeba, believing imaginary friends or foes, irrational belief, accepting it as reality.
And the same, also known as atheist intellectuals and scientists, must connect religious to a mental disorder like schizophrenia.
And as usual,
And use that as an excuse to oppress the fuck out of them.
I present nothing but facts.
You know what? I'm just gonna hide here and wait until the stupid goes away.
Let's keep in mind, we are product of coitus, and our brains create the mind, create thinking. When the brain malfunctions, it produces nothing but irrational, deluded thinking. Religions, beliefs, hypophoeba, especially Christianity, the acceptance, the belief that is someday resurrected and saved with blood, is the most dangerous HIV of the brain ever. It's a disorder and it spreads in churches. It's the cancer of the brain, the most disgusting cycle that can make our species extinct. Because the brain creates everything. The brain, when the people are crazy, they can push the buttons and create a nuclear war. They can produce wars. They can put Sharia law. They have all these churches as the imbeciles, especially the Catholic Church and all these pastors and all these idiots in churches infecting the brain of children. And they give them money, and these psychotic pieces of shit, immoral filth that is stuck in the 12th century.
Immoral.
They don't pay taxes.
Immoral, says the guy who wants to place an ideological restriction on the right to hold public office.
They control the whole country. You have senators like Cruz and all these disgusting, deluded idiots, at the control of the country as senators, and then judges, SCOTUS, like Scalia, the imbeciles that believe in imaginary friends or foes, irrational beliefs, and that's the problem. And you have to realize that the psychosis of God belief can make our species extinct, and it will make them extinct. We already have climate change thanks to them. Because when they destroy science, they kill scientists.
No.
About 2,000 years ago, the Greek scientists, and they have all these psychotic imbeciles that believe in God, religious crap like that. They destroy science. The only thing they do is live in a world of fantasy, and that is extremely dangerous. And now we can see the results. So put all these psychotic imbeciles in sanatoriums and asylums, and close all the churches.
Institutionalize the vast majority of people in the United States because, gosh darn it, they disagree with Calpurnpiso. You are genuinely the least intelligent and least morally sound person I have ever encountered. Like, yeah, I mean, no, the chimp maniacs. The chimp maniacs, Venom Fanax, Shock of God, are worse. But that's about it. You are still, you are still number 4 then, counting the chimp maniacs as one group.
People that believe in God, put them in mental institution, cut them down, and put only scientists at control of countries. Scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson, brilliant minds.
Do you know what scientists don't know anything about? Politics. Well, not the kinds of scientists you're talking about. Like, just knowing science. Knowing science is an important part of making policy, but it's not the whole picture. You need to know how laws work, and you need to know how, like, economies work. And you need to know all of these things that aren't to do with the hard sciences. And
like that, they are the only salvation. It's going to be very difficult. Watch Cosmos and see. Watch it your own.
that was the stupidest video I've ever seen. Now, some of you might question why I bother responding to Calpurnpiso. Well, the reason is very simple. He has fans. And if you don't believe me, we're going to go back into screen share for the bonus section of this video, which is Calpurnpiso's comment section. So, we're gonna just see. There's not too many comments, so we're just gonna go over them. I view Christianity as a vampire squid sucked onto the face of humanity. Alright, let me explain. Hold on. Or do you know, I won't Google the image for copyright reasons, but, okay. A vampire squid, vampire squids don't actually suck blood. Because that is a real animal. The doom to humanity is due to because no one will do a damn thing about it, except when they will. They don't stand up to the Christians because Christianity is taking all the rights away from atheists. On a video arguing that Christians should all be institutionalized for disagreeing with Calpurnpiso. It's really too bad that most people in this world are infected with theotarded beliefs. Calpurnpiso's content is all backed up by facts, and nobody seems to see that. But however I see it, and maybe some other atheist sees it but but most don't see it, which is extremely sad. And then, super amazing, awesome video, Calpurnpiso. Why that's in... Let's see, triple quotation marks. I don't know. But, see. All of these are getting down thumbed. See. I was watching an HBO special on religious fundamentalism in America, and a pastor on there was actually said, if the Bible said 2 plus 2 equals 5, then I would believe it. Yes, it's fucking hyperbole, jackass. Or, I mean, granted, he probably sincerely believes that. It's probably not true. He probably wouldn't be a Christian if the Bible said 2 plus 2 equals 5. And more importantly, if the Bible said 2 plus 2 equals 5, he would probably come up with some cockamamie excuse as for why when it says that, it secretly means that it means 4. Because that's how religious people typically react to scientific errors in their books. I couldn't believe it, and I'm not sure if that show was just a joke or not. I really couldn't tell. Another pastor on that show, a bald guy, said, God knows the number of hairs on my head. Well, any idiot could know that. It's 0. Seems to me the show was a hoax. Okay then, so what the fuck is your argument? Like, maybe he since found out that it was a hoax, and that's what that edited is? I'm gonna... Okay, no, that is not... It is not like Facebook where you can see the original version. But... Let's see, down thumb. I will up thumb any comments I see here that... I know it is... I know if it's just my own personal perspective, but it seems to me that over the last 10 years or so, people have gotten way dumber overall. Demonstrably false, or at least I'm pretty sure that's sure that's false. I'm pretty sure that the human intelligence is on pretty much on a constant road up, just like human quality of life, because technology. Calpurnpiso. Yes! Churches keeps people stupid, deluded, racists, homophobic, and atheist intellectuals keep ignoring zombie god beliefs and schizophrenia that spreads in churches. Okay, first off, you realize that it doesn't actually, well, I think maybe you mean spread from parents to children, so I'll let that slide. Scholarpedia.org. Peer-reviewed open access, let's see. See, read this, but I don't see any reference to religion here. When it says positive symptoms there, by the way, in case you don't realize, that means things that positively occur, whereas negative symptoms are things that are missing. So positive symptoms isn't benefits of schizophrenia. See, no mention of religion. I'm skimming here, so it's possible that I'd miss it, but no mention of religion. No mention of religion. Oh, and here's something beautiful. A delusion is a fixedly held, usually false belief not shared by others from the patient's cultural or social group. We're gonna look at that, and the reason that that's important, dumbass, is because religious beliefs, they're not mental disorders, and the reason that they're not mental disorders is because they're from culture, and so they're not from a mental illness because they're from culture. That's why Christians. That's why, in order to become a Christian, you have to be taught Christianity. Whereas someone can be schizophrenic if they are trapped on a desert island and have never heard of schizophrenia. They can just develop it because the genetic fucking fuckwit moron. Okay, and before anyone accuses me of quote mining, the next sentence is, the core facet of a delusion is that it is a belief held on to rigidly, but without evidence or support or in the face of evidence to the contrary. Right, well, I mean, yeah, granted, you could apply that to religion, but I'm pretty sure that this supersedes this. Like, I think it's pretty clear that if the belief is commonplace in someone's cultural milieu, it is not a delusion. Read this, Christian retards. Shamans, the forerunners of religion, used entheogens, I may well be mispronouncing that, producing an increase of dopamine, which allowed them to see gods. Okay, an increase in dopamine doesn't cause you to see gods or experience hallucinations. Drugs may cause both of those things to happen, but dopamine doesn't make you hallucinate. Learn to neuroscience, dumbass. And inadvertently also led to the formation of schizophrenia. Learn to neuroscience. That we need to have on this community. We need to have a Do you know what? Point Man Zero, get your wife to make a video response to Calpurnpiso. Just do it. Just fucking do it. Because, do you know what? I'll tell you what, that would be the most beautiful thing that has ever happened. The most beautiful thing that has ever happened. Their behaviors were part of a social hierarchy at the time, with shamans having the most proficient roles. In this era, it is highly maladaptive to society, and as a result, we see the chaos it brings. Read Shamans Among Us by Joseph Polimini. Calpurnpiso says, exactly! One can take the religion out of sex and drugs, but never sex and drugs out of religion. Which is why a lot of religious people are celibates who have never done drugs. They created religion over 40,000 years ago. The epigraphy proves it. Well, if by over 40,000 you mean a fuck of a lot longer than 40,000 years ago, then yes. As for epigraphy, I'm just gonna Google that to see. Because, let's see, if this is from Wikipedia. Alright, so Calpurnpiso apparently thinks that the scientific field which studies writing can prove things about what happened before there was writing. Because logic, apparently. I can't get through their damn skull. Have you considered that they might just be stubborn, or that your arguments might be shitty? The Venus of Willendorf being an excellent example because vulva's labia is often depicted as prominent, or the vulva's labia, I'm sorry, I'm a bad reader, is often depicted as prominent and is usually referred to as the mound of Venus or mons pubis. Venus is therefore the passive productive element of nature and is the allegorical excretions of a fecundating nature, or in other words, the vagina earth, which is fecundated by the productive destructive elements of the ethereal spirit rays of the sun. They are stupid because they have the tools to learn these things but choose to ignore them. The epitome of cognitive dissonance. No, first off, that's not what cognitive dissonance is. Cognitive dissonance would be if they already knew it and it caused conscious tension in them while they simultaneously believed these things whilst believing those things about how the beliefs came about. That's what cognitive dissonance would be, because that's what cognitive dissonance is. It's the conscious tension caused by the holding of two beliefs simultaneously when those two beliefs are incompatible. I mean, for heaven's sake. Also, I'd like some evidence that that's where all religion is, that the religion began with that allegory you talk about. Which, by the way, I mean, you could argue is actually true in a certain sense. You could argue that the sun provided energy which allowed chemical reactions on Earth to bring forth the first life, or at least it may well have. It's also possible that panspermia is true. I mean, for heaven's sake, the Herodotus and Diodorus Siculus both mention that in antiquity, male and female saints used to lie promiscuously together in the temples and honor God, because apparently ritual sex proves that their religion was this very specific set of beliefs that you made the fuck up. Well, that someone made it the fuck up and you listened to them because you're an idiot. Priapus, another title denoting the creative attribute, by a liberal display and communications of his bounties, the holy kiss being no more than the kiss honoring Priapus. Fuck me, why did I decide to read these comments? Exactly! Hold on, I need to be thumbs. I need to thumbs all of these down. Hold on. I'm not thumbsing them down because they disagree with me. I'm thumbsing them down because they're fucking idiotic. Call it like I see it. Exactly, and the morons do not realize the Venus of Willendorf tit is also a representation of the gland's penis. Notice the ridges and hole where a nipple should be. Um, Notice also a representation, or wait, notice the ridges and hole. No, Piso, there is nothing on the human penis which is accurately described as the ridges and hole where a nipple should be. Like, you have a penis, don't you? Like, you have that dildo. Like, you've presumably seen a how do you not know what a penis looks like? You... Which is the hermaphrodite autumn that with autofellatio, Ouroboros, spit his semen creating the universe, the Milky Way being the remnant of that milk. Thanks for input. Cheers from Arizona. Good. Absolutely. Semen and milk being equated with fire. The ethereal spirit which pervades all is both nutritive and destructive, which came to denote Baal of the Phoenicians, Bacchus of the Greeks, and the Sabbath/Sabbath of the Jews. Calpurnpiso. Hey Cal, where can I read up on the fact that the temple on Mount Moriah was one to Jupiter Optimus Maximus? Insert Transformers joke here. Fuck this thing. I suddenly have a whole new understanding of the videos that Rob makes, like the videos that Unseen Perfidy makes to Gary and Mindham, because I think I feel right now the way that he feels about Gary. In that I'm in awe of how someone could be so positively fucking stupid. Here are some sites. Then make the comparison. The temples at Mount Moriah have the same plan as the temple to Jupiter and Baalbek. Keep in mind, could that mean? I don't know what he's talking about. So could that mean that they're just from the same religion or from the same culture, and they reused a temple design? Keep in mind that Caesar the Christ was appointed at 18 to be Flamen Dialis, priest of Jupiter, the highest position of the priesthood. I have no idea if that's true. I'd imagine it may well not be. I've never heard it before, and I'm hearing it for the first time from Calpurnpiso, so that means it's not particularly likely to be true. He was compared to Jupiter merging with the gods. The son of God, Augustus the Christ, Lusso merged with Caesar, because proofreading is for fuckwits. No, actually, proofreading isn't for fuckwits, which is why you don't proofread. With Apollo, his mother, Itea, was believed to have been impregnated by Apollo, making Augustus son of God twice. Wait. So, Caesar was God, and so was Apollo, and Caesar's wife had an affair with Apollo, who impregnated her, and somehow that makes Augustus the son of God twice, because he's the son of a god and a human, the human having been married to another god at the time. I guess you might mean legal son. Perhaps that's what you mean. Twice. Trinity, God the Father, God the Son, God the Spirit, genius, one God, but three. The reason the word God is dumb, for there are many in so many languages. Iphopheba. Hold on. Enjoy. Keep in mind, Augustus created symbols to Apollo that were octagonal. Then Nero, example, pumpkin domes, synagogues, mosques, blah blah blah. Roman religion, architecture, all of it. Yes, because when you come from when your culture descends or has been influenced by another culture, you tend to build buildings in similar ways. That's not a parallel. That's just that they build the same kinds of things. Because culture. Thank you so much. The source is... Here's an interesting lecture on octagonal sacred spaces. Build Nero's architect Riberius. Architect Demek, Pumpkin Dome, blah blah. This is where Jewish psychotics, Islam psychotics get their stupid synagogues and mosques. Idiots. The only civilization was Roman, and they belonged to it. Because... Of course! Because every other civilization is just an extension of the Roman Empire for some reason. You... I'm just gonna activate my snuggly mode with my pillows and my blanket, my computer there. Just fuck you people. I'm not gonna put any effort into making this look good because I'm too pissed off right now. Just gonna go back to screen share. You know what? No, there's just words there. You don't need to see them. Thank you so much. Here, you do need to see that. Hold on. I forgot you need to see the spelling mistakes. Thank you so much! Exclamation points. The sources I look at just say Second Temple, and I'm like, what deity was it built to? Oh, it's getting awful. My Facebook is ridiculous with Jesus creeps. And the Vatican and Pope is not helping with their one world religion and rituals to resurrect a corpse. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna look at this. I'm gonna see. We'll go bow on that channel. No information on where this person is from. But they obviously know nothing whatsoever fucking ever. about Christianity. Hold on. I need something to calm myself. Let's see, I'm gonna make myself king, monocle, beard, but no a beard and mustache. Yeah, Alex. That makes me feel much better. For some reason, I think it's a placebo effect. You think that the Vatican does its ritual, like, the only thing I could think of that he could be thinking of is transubstantiation, in which case that's not what that is at all. Like, ugh. These people need to be locked up in a mental hospital. And this is where your 10% goes to pedos. This is where your 10% goes to pedos in dresses. Because apparently transphobia is fun. Yes, then Calpurnpiso. Yes, and the problem is that gutless atheist intellectuals do not call out these zombie god-believing deluded psychos that this is the 21st century, not the 12th, and that their bizarre beliefs are no different to those produced by schizophrenia, no space, and this psychosis spreads in churches. If atheists it is atheists intellectuals' fault, with no apostrophe being anywhere in that area. It is atheists intellectuals' fault for being blind and not pointing out schizophrenia and religious share iphophiba as any other form of neurological disorder. Three more. Okay, 454 to 515. Yes, mass delusion, and this is by David A. Yes, mass delusion and organized schizophrenia, which is easily observed by simply watching Christian television. See how the Christians act, how the preachers talk, and their insane actions. Because as we all know, if something superficially looks like a thing, it must be that thing. For example, black people superficially look like they are part chimpanzee. Therefore, racism is justified. It has also been proven, Duke, that Christians which rely upon faith cause the hippocampus to atrophy from lack of use. I doubt that seriously. Similar to how muscles will atrophy if not used. I'm at the point in my life where I can no longer deal with Christians. Christians lie and are deceitful in business. I don't want to do any sort of business with Christians. I do a lot of online shopping, online being two words, and whenever I have an issue with a seller being deceitful or bending the truth, it is always a Christian seller. Could that be because most people are Christians. Because I don't think it means that you shop at religious stores, because I doubt you do. When trying to have a rational discussion with Christians, they don't seem to hear what is being stated. They just keep on repeating the same insane nonsense over and over again. This is because Christians having severe cognitive dissonance to anything said that may go against their delusional faith. Christians have always been delusional and having a form of schizophrenia. However, Christians are becoming more insane almost on a daily basis. Religion, i.e., and okay, hold on, you have to screen share just to. You have to see this. Someone found a way to misspell IE. Fucking phenomenal. Feel the need for more effects. Hold on. I have 2 mustaches. No. Okay, the birthday cake screws things up. Here's the fun. Let me search for the. Okay, there's the wah-wah trombone. Or let's just here. This one is to the IE thing. Just philosopher Bertrand Russell, who you're probably quote mining because he wasn't an idiot. Religion is based ellipses, which indicates that this is likely a quote mine, mainly upon fear ellipses, fear of the mysterious, fear of defeat, fear of death. Fear is the parent of cruelty, and therefore it is no wonder if cruelty and religion have gone hand in hand, ellipses. My own view on religion is that of Lucretius. I regard it as a disease born of fear and as a source of untold misery to the human race. He probably did not mean a literal disease. And hold on, I need a noise. I'm sorry that fucking hell, I don't want to read more. Good God. I know that one of the latest of the insane Christian memes is that Christianity is not a religion. That statement shows just how little delusional Christians know what's in their own Bible. For it is written in the Bible just how to make their religion. Of course, it means Christianity. It's in the Bible. It doesn't mean Buddhism, pure. Just the fact, yeah, I've mentioned that once. And apparently not having a very extensive knowledge of every last thing that the Bible says means you don't know the Bible. Which, of course, no one reads the Bible, not because they don't care, but because it's fucking long. Just the fact that delusional Christians try to defend a book they've never read once from cover to cover, page by page, shows the mental illness of those following the Christian cult. That's an odd interpretation. I would have just thought they were lazy. It's a reasonable expression of laziness, for that matter. Because, like I said, it's a long book. A reader in England who works in the National Health Service informs me that mental health authorities over there are subtly trying to have religious belief declared a mental disorder because they think it is. In which case, they would have to treat the majority of the population of the UK because they're mostly Anglican. Or, maybe that's a thing like where people check the religion of their parents on the census even though they're not religious themselves. But, yeah. Based on a study done by University College London, spirituality linked to mental illness, we are told that spiritual people are more likely to be mentally ill. The Daily Mail, which is the Daily Mail reports, which is not reliable, in the UK, 92% of psychiatrists believe that religionism and mental illness are connected. So, citation needed. Or here's the citation. Hold on. No, I'll look that up later or just disregard it. Bill Maher has called religion a neurological disorder because when you're debating science, cite an anti-vaxxer. Sam Harris wrote in The End of Faith, it is difficult to imagine a set of beliefs more suggestive of mental illness than those that lie in the heart of many of our religious traditions. I'd imagine that's a quote mine because as far as I know, Sam Harris isn't that stupid. He may well have meant that, like at the beginning, it was that mentally disordered people came up with religion and then passed it on to mentally healthy people. Catherine Taylor, a neurologist at Oxford University, said that recent developments suggest that we will soon be able to treat religious fundamentalism and other forms of ideological beliefs potentially harmful to society as a form of mental illness. She made the assertion during a talk at the Hay Literary Festival in Wales. She said that radicalizing ideologies may soon be viewed not as being of personal choice or free will, but as a category of mental disorder. Okay, well, as far as I know, the majority of the scientific community doesn't hold that opinion. And also, if she said that, then what she means is that the people who hold these beliefs are she doesn't mean that it's brought about by a mental disorder. She means that it's convenient to classify it as one because it's a thing that harms people, that is a state of the brain that was not voluntarily brought about by the people. But not that it's equivalent to schizophrenia. It's still an ideology that spreads just like any other idea. I, for one, cannot understand how anyone is not able to see that Christianity is indeed a distinct mental disorder, because not everyone's a fucking idiot. I mean, Christians have an imaginary friend they think is real. They talk to it, prayer, which is nothing more than someone talking to themselves, and they think that this imaginary friend is talking to them. No, they fucking don't. When, in fact, all the delusional Christians is doing is thinking. They misinterpret something. That's not a delusion. Just because they're wrong. That one act alone is clear-cut textbook case of a mental disorder. No, it fucking isn't. Just because something can be caused by a mental disorder doesn't mean it is a mental disorder. Finally, last one. So many psychotic people trying to spread their sick bullshit. People that believe in God, that believe a God is coming to sweep the place up is a traitor to the human race. God, that was agonizing. Fuck you people. I am never doing another response to Calpurnpiso ever fucking again. Because that was agonizing and was not worth what I just fucking hell. Goodbye, everyone. Next time. Do you know what? I'm not going to make a promise about next time, but I'm going to regret it. But I'm going to try to find someone a lot less stupid than Calpurnpiso just to give myself a break. Fucking hell.